Friday, and what a beautiful Friday afternoon it is. Here in Wisconsin, the sun is shining. It feels like a beautiful midsummer day, and across the world, Reuters is reporting that Hamas has agreed to President Trump's 20-point plan for peace and will release the remaining hostages. This is still a breaking story. We are working to confirm more details. We, of course, will have all the latest for you as this busy broadcast day unfolds. If you would like to join us, 414-799-1130 on our adventknows.com talk and text line. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. I leave the phone lines open. My inbox is always open. And we are always accepting DMs on Facebook, on X, on Instagram. And you can follow the show and comment along with other members of Dan Nation. Always a lively discussion on our YouTube channel. Just search for Dan O'Donnell Show. Please also subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast. And here is your bribe for doing so. I'm just kidding. It's not actually a bribe. It's the Fall Fortune Cash Contest, and we had a winner yesterday. Not listening to us on WISN, our flagship station in Milwaukee, but rather on 1310 WIBA. Our great program director out there, my dear friend, I believe, iHeartMedia Wisconsin MVP, Sean Preble, let me know that a loyal listener got a W yesterday, as well as $1,000 in his pocket. Let's go 2 for 2, folks. 2 days in a row on the Dan O'Donnell Show. All you need to do to win $1,000 is enter the keyword grand at our website. That's WIBA.com. If, like yesterday's winner, you're listening to us in Madison, or newstalk1130.com if you're listening to us in Milwaukee. A couple of big exclusive stories to bring you in the 3 o'clock hour. Then in the 4 o'clock hour, Daily Trump Date, the latest on the breaking news story that we just went over about a possible end to the Hamas-Israel war, or at the very least, the beginning steps in the path towards peace, as well as the latest on the government shutdown. We will check in with Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald at about 4:30. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, a big win for election integrity in Wisconsin. Also, the return of How Bizarre, the strangest stories of the past 7 days. We put that on hiatus for a couple of weeks because of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Just didn't think it was totally appropriate to be doing funny, silly stories. I'll tell you, the story that has just taken the most bizarre turn of all has to be this illegal alien superintendent in Des Moines, Iowa. That part of How Bizarre, and much, much more. First exclusive of the day. State Senator Tim Carpenter has been booted off, effective immediately, the Committee on Licensing, Regulatory Reform, and State and Federal Affairs after an incident in the last committee hearing 2 weeks ago on September 18th, shortly after Charlie Kirk's assassination, where Carpenter got incredibly enraged at the committee's chairman, State Senator Chris Kapenga, a Republican, and attempted to rip the gavel right out of Kapenga's hands as Kapenga was banging it to try to get Carpenter to be quiet.
You have to. This bill is about illegals.
That was Carpenter trying to rip the gavel out of his hands.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is
if you're too cowardly, you're talking about this situation. Don't help hearing.
Their specific bill, you can ask it, but I'm not going to sit here and allow things outside of the bill. That's my job. And I'm going to do my job.
After that, Carpenter got increasingly agitated and started screaming at fellow committee member Van Wangard, another Senate Republican, as well as Kapenga. And for the last 3 or 4 of the committee's hearing, he was just screaming at the two of them while getting right up in his face.
This was completely out of hand.
And if you
We are
don't
not going to have
understand
a
it, don't have a
committee hearing,
public hearing on
senators.
it.
I don't care who
Don't
it is.
understand.
We have
You have a person voting on legislation that's going to affect hundreds of thousands of people, and you're ignorant, and you don't want to be educated on something.
You're out of line.
And you're pushing things, you are pushing things.
You're out of
that you
line.
can't- I can do whatever I want. You get
No, you
down.
can't.
Yes, I can.
No, this is
I
my
have free
Senate committee
speech.
hearing.
I have free speech.
I have free speech. I have free speech. He was still going at it when the wisi.org cameras cut out, still screaming in Kapinga's face. That was actually one of the points where he had calmed down just a little bit. Carpenter is well known as being one of the biggest hotheads and, frankly, one of the most out there members of the Wisconsin State Senate. Now he has been replaced. Kapinga, the chairman of the committee, went to the Senate Majority Leader and said, look, I want this member off. What would have happened, I wonder, if Carpenter had grabbed the gavel out of Kapinga's hands? Would he have used it to hit him? Seriously, that given Tim Carpenter's past, I'll bet you Tim Carpenter wishes he would have had the gavel as a weapon to defend himself from the two hose beasts who beat the holy hell out of him outside of the riot outside the Wisconsin Capitol in 2020 for George Floyd. You might remember that one. Those two women, and I use that term loosely, were actually acquitted in a trial against Carpenter. Carpenter's assailants were let off the hook by a Madison jury. Carpenter was left bleeding in the grass as the mob absconded with a number of statues outside of the Capitol, including, ironically enough, one of the state's most prominent abolitionists, as they were fighting against the treatment of Black Americans in 2020. So Tim Carpenter is off this committee effective immediately. And according to the rules of the state Senate, all it takes is a committee chairman to request that the member be removed. Now, Kapinga apparently went to Senate leadership and said, I want Tim Carpenter off of this committee. I honestly can't blame him. And if it were me, I would have done so much earlier. So Carpenter was removed, and now Dora Drake, Democrat state senator, takes his place. How will Carpenter respond to this? Is he going to go ballistic, and is he going to not accept his removal? That could actually lead to further sanctions from the state Senate, but hopefully going in timeout and losing his committee will be enough punishment for him. Now, what was it that set off Tim Carpenter to the point where he's reaching across the table? And by the way, we actually do have the video of him attempting to snatch the gavel out of Kapinga's hands up at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, as well as Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. It is an exclusive story that Carpenter has now been kicked off of this committee. But what got him so ticked off to begin with? It was a story that we reported on exclusively on the afternoon that it happened. I'm going to take you back to September 18th. State Senator Chris Larson, like Tim Carpenter, a senator from Milwaukee, lied, just openly lied about the death of a teacher's aide, Yesenia Ruano, who you might remember was the illegal alien who was fighting her deportation. Larson just sort of made up a story about how Ruano died because she couldn't get life-saving medicine that she needed because she was in ICE custody.
I think of the role that this played in a woman in my district who was a teacher's aide, who was here, legal status, to be clear, legal status. She had her legal residency, and the president said, no longer, we do not want you here anymore, and so they started to revoke that, even though she was here legally. And because of that, she was not able to get medicine, and she died. She's dead.
Spoiler alert, she is most definitely not dead, at least as of the last wellness check that we did on her, in which a journalist who has been following her, she has been deported to El Salvador, where she is now living with her two little girls. That's her country of origin. She is very much alive. At least she was as of September 18th when we checked in, just to have a proof of life. And even if she had passed away, she was deported, or rather she self-deported, because she knew that she was eventually going to be deported. The administrative judge, she did not get the rule. She was not allowed to stay, and she self-deported in early to mid-June. Suffice it to say that she did not die. First of all, she's not dead. But if she had died at some point in El Salvador, it was not because she couldn't get medicine in Milwaukee because she was sitting in ICE custody. Chris Larson just told a bold-faced lie, and that lie had consequences. The most immediate consequence is that it got his fellow Senator Tim Carpenter so gassed up that he practically attacked the committee's chair, Capiga, trying to rip the gavel right out of his hand. Did he intend to beat him with it? Probably not, but honest to goodness, who knows? This was just 8 days after Charlie Kirk's assassination. Liberals were all full of you-know-what and vinegar, all hyped up, and, I don't know, had a weird bloodlust as hundreds of thousands of them were practically giddy over the fact that a prominent conservative had just been shot through the neck in front of a crowd. It had a real consequence of costing Tim Carpenter his committee seat. Because had Carpenter not believed this lie and not gotten himself into such an agitated state, it's entirely likely that he would still be sitting on this committee today. But we can now report exclusively he has been booted off and could be subject to further censure or other forms of punishment if he doesn't go quietly into the good night and accept the current punishment for his misbehavior. When we come back in just a second, some good news to report about the Turning Point USA chapter in Concordia, which was being stonewalled for quite some time, but some bad news about another Turning Point chapter that is facing the exact same issue at another college in Wisconsin. We will report on that. It's another exclusive story here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at accunet.com.
Jason, what are you singing?
Working on a new jingle to promote Capital's $49 drain clearing. When your sink fills up with gunk, don't stress, don't whine. It's only $49.
Don't take this the wrong way, man, but I'd stick to plumbing, heating, and cooling if I were you.
That's fair, but people need to know that we clear clogs for only $49.
Fine, but I would have rhymed gunk with junk. It's so obvious.
Call Capital to stop. With gold at an all-time high, now is a smart time to turn your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds into cash. And no one makes it easier than Robert Hack Diamonds. Those old-class rings, broken chains, dental gold, even coins, silver flatware, and tea sets could be worth more than you think. Robert Hack Diamonds will sit down with you, walk through each item, and make you a fair, no-pressure cash offer. Whether you're cleaning out a jewelry box or settling an estate, if in doubt, bring it in. They need your gold to create custom pieces for their customers, so this is a win-win. Stop by Robert Hack Diamonds and see what your forgotten items are really worth. They have a 64-plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. Gold is at an all-time high. The process is simple. The time to cash in is now. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Yesterday, here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we told you the story of the Turning Point USA chapter president at Concordia University who is being stonewalled by the school, which would not recognize his chapter as an official student organization unless he personally denounced Professor Watch or the professor list. This is something that Turning Point does that allows conservative students to know who the far left radical professors are who might single out students because of their political views and might actually punish them for them. We reported on this. This went just absolutely mega viral over the last couple of days. And Concordia did the right thing. It caved. It said, hey, we understand that this was wrong. We recognize that we were wrong to do this. Jacob Turner, the Turning Point Concordia University chapter president, actually tweeted at me saying, "Thank you for sharing our story, Dan. It means a lot to have your support. I am happy to announce that we have officially been approved as a chapter." And then he shared a link to his post on X. Yesterday, I shared that the Turning Point chapter I run at Concordia University, Wisconsin, was denied recognition because I refused to denounce the professor watch list. I didn't expect the tweet to gain much traction, but it turns out there's a real fire in people to defend the right to organize and to help fulfill Charlie's vision of a TP USA chapter on every campus in America. I'm thrilled to announce that less than 24 hours later, our chapter has officially been approved as a registered student organization. We're now ready to get to work immediately on registering voters, standing for dialogue, and carrying forward the mission of truth on campus. Huge thank you to Congressman Derek Van Orden for stepping in on such short notice to help, and to everyone who showed their support for me on behalf of the Turning Point USA at Concordia University, Wisconsin. I would love to extend an open invite to Derek Van Orden to join us anytime you feel. Also, a huge shout out to Elon Musk for helping to get the word out. The power of the revival is real. Elon Musk actually posted or reposted Jacob's post, and this drew massive attention to his plight. So all's well that ends well at Concordia University. I can report exclusively that almost the exact same scenario has been unfolding at the Milwaukee School of Engineering, or MSOE, for more than a year. The president of Turning Point USA at MSOE has been trying to get the Student Life organization, the Department of Student Life, basically, resident life, student life, whatever, to recognize the Turning Point chapter. So if you go to the Turning Point USA website, you'll see that there is an official chapter at MSOE, just as there was an official chapter at Concordia University. However, the university would not acknowledge this as an official student organization. The reason given is that they would not denounce the professor watch list. Clearly, this has struck a bit of a nerve with academia. Now, I can tell you that whenever there is a list like this that's generated, there are always mistakes. And there was at least one professor at Concordia University who was asking Jacob in his mentions on social media, hey, can you please take me off this list? I am not a communist. I am not a radical left-winger who punishes conservatives. I was put on this list most likely because of a student who wasn't happy about a grade they received or something like that. There is always the potential for abuse of this list, and Professor Watch List, in researching the Concordia University topic and incident, I can tell you is despised among the professorial class because it's yet another thing. There's, I believe, Prof Watch or something like that. They're Rate My Prof. That was it. RateMyProf.org. That's been going on forever, where people will just go on and they'll talk about their experiences with a given professor. To that, I would say, if you're a good teacher, if you're flexible, if you're accommodating, if you're tough but fair, if you're engaging, you've got nothing to worry about. In other words, if you're a good professor, you'll get good reviews from your students. Students, generally speaking, are pretty powerless against their professors, against their TAs, against the university's administrators. This is sort of the way that they can even the score. I don't recall many businesses complaining about the fact that Yelp exists. Obviously, they complain if they get bad Yelp reviews, and you'll see them contest said reviews or respond to those reviews if they feel that they're unfair or unwarranted. I don't see why university professors should be any different. But what I can tell you is that in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, there was a renewed vigor to get a Turning Point USA chapter formally recognized on MSOE's campus. The student life department that is in charge of recognizing student organizations, making that decision whether or not to grant a charter to a given student organization, student-led organization, they denied it. Yet again, they are refusing to recognize the Turning Point chapter. And just like with Concordia University, they're using the professor watch list as the excuse. Now, this has not gotten nearly the attention that Concordia University has gotten, but it's somewhat of a surprise because MSOE is sort of well known as being far less left wing. It is not the bastion of liberalism that, say, the University of Wisconsin-Madison is. And it's actually like Concordia University, which is a product of, as I learned yesterday or confirmed yesterday, the Missouri Lutheran Synod, which is a more conservative strain of Lutheranism. It's somewhat surprising that MSOE would not allow a student organization dedicated to conservatism on campus, especially since this is by far the biggest campus conservative organization. And this got me wondering, because obviously I was made aware of this after doing the Concordia University story. I wonder just how many schools, both colleges and high schools, are having similar issues getting Turning Point USA chapters started, because I know, since we're a little more than 3 weeks removed from Charlie's assassination, there has been a massive interest, as Jacob Turner put it, the revival in Turning Point in conservatism, the sort of great awakening of young conservatives who have just been angered and also saddened and motivated by Charlie Kirk's death. And one of the ways that they have been trying to carry on Charlie's legacy, the way that they have been trying to do something for the movement to try to pick up where Charlie unfortunately and tragically left off, is by starting these chapters. And there have been applications. Charlie's vision, Charlie's dream was to have a Turning Point chapter at every high school and every college in the United States. And because of people like Jacob Turner and because of the people who want to do this at MSOE, there's a very good chance that it could happen. But because of bureaucrats at these schools that are standing in the way of that and throwing up the barrier that, oh my goodness, Turning Point USA, the national organization, has a website that allows students to say, hey, avoid this teacher. He is a radical left winger. And if you're an open conservative on campus, you might be punished either with your grade or you might be singled out for embarrassment or something like that. Hey, would you believe the Dan O'Donnell Show has yet another exclusive story? It's a bit of a follow-up to the one we told you about yesterday at Middleton High School, where a teacher there was forcing students to publicly declare their political ideology. It's a fun little follow-up next.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has expanded strength equipment. We're raising the bar with these benches, and our hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all the best-in-class equipment we've always had. There's no better time to get stronger. Join the club today for $1 down, $15 a month, now through October 10th. Planet Fitness is proud to partner with Boys and Girls Clubs of America to create stronger, kinder communities. See Home Club for details.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button.
People should be judged for the content of their character, not the straightness of their teeth.
I'm Mila. The gracious, caring staff at Ross Dental makes straight teeth convenient.
Bo, Mila's big brother here. High school social pressure can make students want to be invisible. Ross Dental straight teeth are confidence building.
With Ross Dental straight teeth, you and your children will smile like you just don't care because you don't.
Dr. Ross did imaging and ordered virtually invisible plastic trays that fit over our teeth, shifting them ever so slightly.
Every 5 days or so, we start new trays that shift teeth a little more.
Unlike conventional braces, we can take the trays off to eat and brush our teeth, and they cost less.
A bonus for me is clicking in my jaw stopped.
Dr. Ross is a great dentist, and Dad says Ross Dental is the best deal.
Family dentistry, cosmetic whitening, Ross Dental straight smiles, and full sedation dentistry for anxious patients needing substantial restoration. Our mission, your comfort, health, and confidence. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalWI.com.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellen Becker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
Warshawski's Victor Harding, Best Lawyers Product Liability Attorney of the Year, achieves maximum compensation.
Best Lawyers Complex Litigation Lawyer of the Year, Warshawski's Frank Cravello achieves maximum injury compensation.
Injured?
It is about the money.
Warshawski.com.
Bob here from Industry Revolutionizing Redefined Realty. There's no way an antique Milwaukee Badger ale beer bottle would have sold for $21,000 without auction. Only Redefined Realty combines MLS with auction. MLS gets your home found, and just like that beer bottle, auction compels buyers to compete in a bidding war. Buyers see the actual high bid, then outbid each other over and over and over. Redefined Realty's home sellers love standing on the sideline, watching returns on investment increasing. It's cool and fun. Selling your home with total price transparency guarantees you leave closing a winner with the maximum profit possible. Redefine Realty allows buyers to compete with or without an agent. Redefine's winning real estate combo, MLS plus auction, is the only marketing strategy that allows buyers and sellers to both win. Just like the buyers of your home, you're going to love meeting a winner at closing. Visit redefinerealty.com for a free comparable market analysis today and let yourself win. Buyers win, sellers win, let yourself win. Real estate for winners. Redefinerealty.com.
Hi, I'm Willa Voss. I'm 8 years old. Mom and Dad own Cut and Go Tree Service. Yes, they did name me after a tree. Our family loves this country and the freedom it provides. Every morning, I look forward to starting the school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say it along with me, even if you just say it in your mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. American patriots will enjoy a 5% discount for flying the American flag and mentioning this commercial when the Cut and Go remote control, automobile mounted, articulated crane, grapple saw operators are putting your dead trees on the ground or removing large branches that grew over something important. An all-American Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CUTNGOTREES.com.
We use powerful truck-mounted carpet cleaning units designed to remove even the toughest dirt, and certified cleaning technicians who understand the definition of clean.
Edelman Carpet, Furniture, and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at Current Electric. The NARI Milwaukee 2025 Home and Remodeling Show is October 17th through the 19th at State Fair Park. The superheroes from Current Electric will be on site to answer any electrical questions you have, from outdoor lighting to solar to the importance of a Current Electric home standby generator. Stop by booth 343 and ask about the whole home surge protection included with every home generator installation. Head to currentelectric.com to learn more.
People called them murderers. 10 years later, they were gods. Today, no one knows their names. A group of maverick surgeons who took on the medical establishment, who risked everything to invent open-heart surgery. Welcome to the Wild West of American medicine. I'm Chris Pine, and this is Cardiac Cowboys. If you like medical dramas, if you like heart-pounding thrillers, you will love Cardiac Cowboys. Listen wherever you listen to podcasts.
Sponsored by Jasper.
Injured? Call Gruber Law. One call, that's all.
Touchdown, Wisconsin! Join us Saturday. The Badgers are in the Big House to battle Michigan.
Coverage starts at 7 a.m. on Milwaukee's home for your Wisconsin Badgers. 97.3 The Game.
In case you're wondering what the YouTube chat looks like from people watching on the Dano Cam, they are currently debating whether or not I should put my own bobblehead out, just like Belling did years ago, because of how much my head moves around when I talk. Ladies and gentlemen, these are my listeners. My producer is absolutely bobbing his head while laughing hysterically in there because he knows exactly what these folks are talking about. It's sort of an old radio trick to sort of add emphasis. You kind of have to move your whole body. It's a unique way of broadcasting. It's kind of, I'm still trying to find the right balance, because with TV, you have to be very still and very stilted to look good on camera. But with radio, since you only have your voice to convey emotion and that, people tend to be way more animated. Plus, I'm half Italian, so I'm going to be talking with my hands. I'm going to be very expressive. Yesterday, we told you the story first broken by my good friend and colleague, Vicki McKenna, on her show about the Middleton High School teacher who assigned his U.S. government classes to either take a red, blue, or purple post it, write their names on it and some of the top issues that they care about, and then staple it to a big board outside of the classroom in the middle of a hallway at Middleton High School, where everybody could see their political affiliation. Obviously, red was if they self-identified as a Republican, blue if they self-identified as a Democrat, purple if they were somewhere in the middle, and the bulletin board was an XY axis. It was sort of a line chart of where you are politically. And on the x-axis, the horizontal line, it was socially liberal to socially conservative. On the y-axis, the vertical line, it was socially conservative to socially liberal. And everybody was pretty much grouped sort of in the middle. The kids with the blue stickers were off to the left, and there were far fewer kids with red stickers. This assignment generated a massive amount of controversy. Moms for Liberty picked it up. I just saw Rob Schneider, the conservative comedian and actor, tweet about it, saying he's going to be in Wisconsin this weekend. What is the deal with this sort of scarlet letter branding on conservative kids? Because the student who contacted, or rather a relative of the student who contacted both Vicky and I, said she overheard one of her classmates or another student at the high school point to all the kids with the red note cards on the big public bulletin board and say, those are the Nazis. Obviously, this is something of an issue. I have not heard a follow-up whether this bulletin board has been taken down, whether the teacher has faced any sort of consequence for making students very publicly reveal their political affiliation. But I did notice, and we had some fun yesterday, with one student who very proudly put his name on a red note card or Post-it note and put it all the way to the far right, as far on the socially conservative and as far on the fiscally conservative spectrum as he possibly could. And I laughed and said, who is this based God? I want him to be my friend. Well, I just was contacted by the head of Turning Point, Wisconsin, Brett Galashewski, who said that they were able to make contact with this student, that they actually figured out who this was, or rather the student reached out to them, and he is going to be joining Turning Point USA. So a happy end to that story. We are hearing breaking news from Fox News that a judge is handing down the sentence in the Diddy case. Producer Jeff, have we heard what Diddy is going to be doing? 4 years and 2 months in prison. Wow. Can we go to the reporter on this scene? This is a Fox News reporter outside the federal courtroom where Diddy, a.k.a. P. Diddy, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. Sean Combs, a.k.a. The Diddler, has just been sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in federal prison.
Was once at the height of the music industry, has now been sentenced to 4 years behind bars. The judge said that any of Diddy's past good works could not overstate the record in this case. The witness testimony from women who said they had to endure years of physical and emotional abuse at the hands of the rapper. Will, I want to send it back over to you.
That is the Will Kane Show, the reporter there. P. Diddy has just been sentenced in a sex case where he could have gotten decades and decades and decades behind bars, but he was not convicted on the more serious charges against him. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. We will try to get the latest on this, as well as the other breaking news story about Hamas supposedly releasing the hostages, also unhinged liberal, next.
More of the Dan O'Donnell Show is next.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford, Total Traffic Center.
18 minutes northbound 4145 up to Good Hope. Delays breaking after Hampton. 43 southbound is 20 from Brown Deer to the Marquette. Heavy Silver Spring on in. And on to 4394 southbound slow to Beecher, another 12 Mitchell. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Harwood Place Retirement Living in Wauwatosa, located in the heart of Wauwatosa. Harwood Place Retirement Living's newly renovated apartments and updated pricing are changing the face of how to live your golden years. To learn more or schedule a tour, visit harwoodplace.org.
I'm Tom Zecchi at Central Office Systems. Implementing technology diligence saves businesses money, making technology profitable.
Chris Zecchi here. Seamlessly reliable technology is a competitive advantage for your business operations.
Flawlessly integrated IT, phone, email, software, data storage, data security backed by Central Office's North American Help Desk is smart business operations.
Central Office IT support answers your employees' calls in 1 minute. If your issue can't be resolved immediately by phone, Central Office dispatches live local technical experts.
Central Office IT Managed Services secure your information, technology, and data. Our camera systems clearly document faces, read license plates, send alerts when movement, heat, or smoke are viewed.
Central Office smart camera systems combined with individual entry access from HID card, key fob, or smartphones limited to certain days or time periods secure your property.
Your company can afford Fortune 500 class IT system service and support with Central Office.
Converting IT risk and liability into assets, centralofficesystems.com.
Only one app puts the live radio dial in your pocket
and lets you save your favorite stations, playlists, and podcasts as presets.
iHeartRadio is your all-access pass to the audio that moves you.
Get what millions already have. The free iHeartRadio app.
The #1 app for radio.
Trees on the Move's field clearing sale is on now with savings up to 75%. 20 to 30-foot maples, elms, oaks, honey locust, and more. 12 to 18-foot spruce, arborvitae, and junipers are on sale too. Trees on the Move has to clear 40 acres, and this is your chance to buy big and save big. These trees are great for newer existing homes, landscape projects, or replacing trees lost to disease or storm damage. Trees on the Move's field clearing sale, Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, Saturday 9 to 4, or see treesonthemove.com.
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson, the Falls and New Berlin. Seed oils, the #1 source of calories in American diets, developed as engine fuel and industrial lubricants, only ended up in the food supply for profit. Seed oils cause arthritis, heart disease, metabolic syndrome, stroke, type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and chronic illness. Medical doctors prescribe dozens of pharmaceuticals for life to treat symptoms of those diseases. Why don't they tell you to stop consuming poison? I'll tell you why. You sick is profitable. At Total Health, we teach eliminating seed oils from your diet improves true health and how you feel. Total Health finds the root cause of your fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, sleeplessness, then works with you, the whole you, eliminating symptoms and the chronic disease causing those symptoms. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution is true. Total Health's holistic practitioners utilize proven science to help you feel and truly be the most helpful and well you. TotalHealthInc.com. That's TotalHealthInc.com.
We're the Libby family.
At Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
We're not a home center.
Everyone here is an expert who really knows their stuff.
Plus, nobody beats our prices. Remember our slogan?
I did it myself at Do-It-Yourself.
When Flawless Flooring installs luxury vinyl plank, hardwood, modern laminate, or carpeting, I personally guarantee your satisfaction with every step from shopping through installation. I'm Flawless Flooring's president, Dave Brownsdorf, and I approve this message. Sensory Underload, Flawless Flooring, FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
Your home is your sanctuary, and the first step to peace of mind is controlling your power. Get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from the #1 Generac dealer, Generator Supercenter. Go to GeneratorSuperCenterofLakeCountry.com.
Oktoberfest kicks off Thursday, October 2nd at Fleet Farm. Join us all month for show-stopping deals, contests, and freebies every weekend. This Saturday, October 4th, the first 100 customers can score a free gift card worth up to $100. Grab a sweet fall favorite in our caramel apple bar and enjoy free hot dogs, yard games, and more. Don't miss the fun at Fleet Farm's Oktoberfest. It's our way of saying thanks for your continued business. For details, visit fleetfarm.com/Oktoberfest.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to AdventKnows.com.
For many of us, the most important part of our routine between 6 and 9 weekday mornings is to listen to every minute of the Jay Weber Show on WISN. Sadly, sometimes less important elements of our lives get in the way, such as work, children, and bathing. Don't despair. The Jay Weber Show podcast is available 24/7 to fill any gaps in your hunger for entertainment. Just go to newstalk1130.com, click the podcast tab, and enjoy Jay Weber on demand.
What do I always tell you, ladies and gentlemen? You always need, well, first of all, you always need to listen to the Dan O'Donnell Show, but you always need to listen to this show every single second on Friday afternoon, because Friday afternoon is always when big news breaks. What do I also say? You will always get jury verdicts or you will get big court happenings on Fridays, primarily because nobody involved. I don't know much about the legal system. I am 20-some years removed from law school, actually 19. I graduated in 2006 from UW-Madison Law. Didn't practice. I always thought that I would go practice once I got fired as a broadcaster, and sorry, Libs, I haven't been fired, at least not yet, knock on wood. I do know that they all want to get out there and enjoy the weekend. Sean Diddy Combs, just a couple of minutes ago, was sentenced in federal court to 4 years and 2 months in prison after he was convicted of transporting women to participate in drug-fueled sex marathons. That is an interesting way to put it from Bloomberg News. Drug-fueled sex marathons. I think I could have gone my entire life without thinking about P. Diddy in a drug-fueled sex marathon. Isn't he also like 60 years old? How long was this sex marathon? Like 8 minutes? Combs faced a maximum of 20 years in prison. In July, a jury found him guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution related to his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and a victim who testified under the pseudonym Jane. Each count carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison, but Combs was acquitted of the more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, which could have landed him in prison for the rest of his life. Federal prosecutors asked Judge Aaron Subramanian to sentence Combs to more than 11 years in prison, or no less than 135 months, as well as impose the maximum fine of $500,000, arguing that Combs had shown no remorse and that his sentence should reflect the substantial psychological, emotional, and physical damage he's inflicted on his victims. But the defense sought a sentence of no more than 14 months in prison, including the time Combs had already served since his September 2024 arrest. His lawyers argued that his legacy has been destroyed and that he had been punished enough. Well, I would think that, the punishment is going to prison, but what do I know? The judge agreed more with the defense than it did with the prosecution. 4 years, 2 months in prison. We are also following developing news, first reported by Reuters. Hamas has apparently agreed to release all of its Israeli hostages, dead or alive, and it expressed a willingness to negotiate through mediators on President Trump's plan for peace in the Middle East. In a statement that has now been reproduced by multiple news organizations, the group, quote, affirms its readiness to immediately enter into negotiations through mediators to discuss the details of this agreement. The movement also renews its agreement to hand over the administration of the Gaza Strip to a Palestinian body of independents, technocrats, based on Palestinian national consensus and Arab and Islamic support. President Trump announced the 20-point plan for peace alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House on Monday. All right, now you are caught up on all the developing and breaking news from just this hour. Let's have a little fun, shall we? Time to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. All white people are racist.
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
America is
Every so often, you get someone on the left say succinctly and very loudly what it is that sort of underpins the entire liberal worldview. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell just did that. He was at an event where he was talking about crime policy. And as you could imagine, Harrell is a far left Democrat. You pretty much have to be elected to anything in Seattle or much of Washington state. And he said, even if someone commits, and I quote, 6 or 7 crimes, he still has no interest in throwing them in jail.
The criminal system has had a disparate impact on Black and brown communities. Let me lead with that. So when this person is committing 6 or 7 crimes, I don't know his or her story. Maybe they were abused as a child. Maybe they're hungry. So my remedy is to find their life story to see how we could help first. I have no desire to put them in jail.
Yeah, they really do believe that. I guess we should thank Mayor Harrell for saying the quiet part out loud. That said, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell, your unhinged liberal of the day. That is the fundamental problem with the political left on crime. They truly believe that because someone is out there committing 6 or 7 crimes, it must somehow be society's fault. We need to know their story to know how broader American culture let them down, how maybe the American government didn't give them enough social services. Mayor Harrell wants to know their story. Oh, I know the person who's committed 6 or 7 crimes story. It's pretty well outlined in all of the criminal charges against them. I think I can get a pretty good idea of their story on the number of arrest warrants that they rack up. But this is the fundamental problem with, and I think what the American people are finally waking up to and rejecting in big numbers, the left-wing worldview on crime, that there is no individual responsibility, that we need to get to know the criminal and get to know what their story is. Because if there's one thing I know about somebody who is committing 6 or 7 crimes, it's never their fault. You see, it first of all, they never did anything wrong. They always have someone to blame or something to blame. And liberals have a tendency, it's a rather suicidal tendency, if you ask me, to believe wholesale what it is the worst people in society are trying to tell them, and to, instead of imposing consequences on the individual who is victimizing other people, to rather put the blame on society as a whole so that we can then fund whatever social justice or welfare program said liberal believes would eventually lead to people committing committing fewer crimes while denying the possibility that there are just people out there who commit crimes, who will victimize others and will to continue to do so until such time that society, in the form of police officers, prosecutors, and judges, stops them. Daily Trump Date coming up next, plus an interview with Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald on the status of the shutdown. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Listen to Benjamin Yount, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
With news on WISN, I'm Raymond Newport. It is unlikely we'll be getting any sort of relief from the government shutdown this weekend, as Republicans and Democrats seem far from a deal. A 65-year-old farmer had to be rescued from a silo full of soybeans in the town of Paris Friday morning. The man was injured after police got him out. And the driver charged in a crash that killed 2 Marquette University students pleads not guilty. 41-year-old Amandria Brunner is accused of homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle. Business news, the Dow at 46,758. Rest of stocks mixed as people wait on the jobs report. Checking the Holiday Automotive Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, it will be the Brewers versus the Cubs tomorrow in the division series. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Raymond Newport on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast presented by AdventKnows.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Skies will remain mostly clear tonight, with partly sunny conditions as we head to Friday. Temperatures are going up to the weekend. Cooler temperatures will rise. Rain.
More American stories. On our next episode, we'll share the true story of one of the first men to set foot in America, Captain John Smith. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help spoke out of their timeshare. Today, I run away with my 2 sons. I help and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040.
Acumen Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
Don't settle for a flimsy bank pre-approval. Get the pre-approval listing agents and sellers recognized as better than the rest. The rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from AccuNet. Get yours by clicking on the blue button at accunet.com.
You've held onto that old jewelry for years. Maybe it was a class ring, a broken chain, or a silver flatware from your parents' home. It meant something once, and it still does. But now it could mean something new. A chance to turn those tucked-away treasures into real value at Robert Hack Diamonds. With gold at an all-time high, there's never been a better time to bring in your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds. At Robert Hack Diamonds, you'll sit down one-on-one in a relaxed, respectful setting. They'll walk you through your items carefully, from coins and jewelry to sterling tea sets and even dental gold, and make you a fair, honest cash offer. No pressure, just real people who understand that sometimes it's more than metal, it's memories. If in doubt, bring it in. You might be surprised at what it's worth. 64-plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. It's not just about gold, it's about trust. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
Hi, it's Rob Radisky here, a veteran designer at Wisconsin Kitchen Mart, and we're inviting you to come take a look at the fully built kitchens and baths in our sprawling 18,000 square foot showroom. It's truly one of a kind, and while showcasing the special attention to detail we put into our work as designers, this enormous showroom gives you the opportunity to envision real possibilities for your home. For almost 75 years, the dedicated team at Wisconsin Kitchen Mart has created kitchen and bathroom remodels that have set us apart as the best. We create kitchens that balance style and efficiency. The same goes for bathrooms too. See the full displays in our 18,000 square foot showroom. With our wide selection of flooring, Play-Doh custom cabinetry, appliances, and countertops, you'll get everything you need in one spot. For a free consult and more info, visit wisconsinkitchenmart.com or visit our showroom to see for yourself. Higher design, higher style, higher Wisconsin Kitchen Mart.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Marketing in modern business means finding and serving your customers 24/7 wherever they are. WISN broadcasts are a powerful platform, but there's so much more. WISN's online digital tools are completely customizable, so you can reach your ideal customer through the iHeart app or by using software that actually finds your customers at a specific location or event. These tools are precise, efficient, measurable marketing weapons that you need to use. Combine the power and clout of WISN's broadcast and digital platforms right now. Go to newstalk1130.com, keyword digital.
Both grateful and humble for the unwavering support of our listeners. It's because of you that this is Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130 WISN.
This is why I love Friday afternoons here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, but simultaneously hate them. Look, folks, think about yourself in the office on a Friday afternoon. If you're actually in the office on a Friday afternoon and not out at the golf course, I see you, Johnson. I know what you're doing. You will have those files on my desk Monday morning or you're fired. We cannot lose the Higgins account because you snuck off early to play a quick 9. Look, I want to just kind of ease into the weekend. I want to talk about the Brewers now playing the Cubs, for the right to go to the National League Championship Series. I want to do the fun, silly, strange stories of the week, how bizarre, which we will do in the 5 o'clock hour. I don't want to have to do all the heavy lifting of breaking a whole bunch of exclusive stories as well as reporting on major national news, but your humble host will work straight through to 6:01 if need be. Not a minute more, not a minute less. Who am I kidding? I'm probably going to try to knock off early if I can. Producer Jeff, you co-host the Brewers postgame show on 97.3. You want to do the 5 o'clock hour and just talk Brewers? Okay, boom. The gig is yours. I'll meet you on the ninth hole. We'll grab a 19th hole drink, Johnson, but you still owe me those Higgins report files. In case you missed it, a couple of big exclusive stories here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. First, State Senator Tim Carpenter has been removed from the Senate Committee on Licensing and Federal and State Affairs after an outburst 2 weeks ago in which he attempted to grab the gavel from the committee's Republican chairman, Chris Kapenga. We've got the video of that up at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, basically wherever you can find us on social media. We have that story up there. We also broke the story of MSOE, the Milwaukee School of Engineering in downtown Milwaukee, for the better part of a year, stonewalling the president of the school's chapter of Turning Point USA by refusing to officially recognize the Turning Point chapter as a student organization unless the group publicly denounces the Professor Watch List, which identifies radical left-wing professors. It's a Turning Point service that they provide for their conservative students. And this was the exact same thing that led to the long-term stonewalling of the Turning Point USA chapter at Concordia University being recognized. Well, the president of that chapter had a tweet go viral. Even Elon Musk responded to it. Congressman Derek Van Orden said he would get involved. We did the story, and Concordia said, yes, we are going to recognize this chapter. Hopefully MSOE does the same thing without forcing the organizers who, since Charlie's assassination, have redoubled their efforts to try to get Turning Point chapter on MSOE's campus. Turning Point is a conservative organization, and the Professor Watch List is something that no professor should have to worry about if they are fair to all students, regardless of their political affiliation. We also had the news break just a couple of minutes ago that the Diddler will be spending 4 years and 2 months in federal prison as he was just sentenced. And we just had Hamas tentatively agree to release the Israeli hostages. Let's get to that and more in your daily look back at all things going on at the White House today. It's your Daily Trump Day.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Trump just keeps winning.
It is a win for the administration.
It's also a big win for the United States.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Day 3 of the federal government shut down the United States Senate today, voting on the Democrat continuing resolution that went down to defeat.
On this vote, the yeas are 46, the nays are 52, 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion upon reconsideration is not agreed to.
That means that they will be back to the drawing board on this. Republicans in the House have already passed what's known as a clean CR, or a continuing resolution that simply funds the government at current levels adjusted for inflation for the next month and a half or so. The CR that Democrats have rejected over and over and over again, filibustering it in the Senate, would run through November 21st, just shy of Thanksgiving. And you've heard me talk about the fact that all sorts of news breaks on Friday afternoons because people want to get home to their families. So you always get jury verdicts, especially on Friday afternoons. You always have continuing resolutions or debt limit deadlines right before holidays like Thanksgiving or the 4th of July or Christmas, because that puts pressure on members to vote for things that they wouldn't otherwise vote for. And that's where you get a whole lot of pork barrel spending. Republicans are every bit as guilty of this ridiculous tactic as Democrats are. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today said the big sticking point continues to be health care for illegal aliens.
Our position is that it's completely unacceptable that the Biden administration paroled and encouraged an invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country and then promised them free health care. And the Democrats are on the record repeatedly stating that they believe illegal aliens should have health care benefits, free health care benefits in the United States of America. So that is a recipe for a disaster. Of course, you're going to encourage a mass illegal invasion of our country, which is exactly what happened.
Now, President Trump yesterday met with the Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought to talk about the possibility of using this shutdown to not just furlough temporarily hundreds of thousands of federal workers, but rather have a massive reduction in force and to continue the job that DOJ started by actually firing thousands and thousands and thousands of federal workers who would not be able to come back, not be able to collect back salary, and not be able to do jobs that the Trump administration say run contra to their overall governmental mission. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked about that this morning.
Why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
We will talk about those potential layoffs as well as the shutdown, where Democrats are in negotiations, and what the Republican position is and really has always been, as we talk with Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald coming up in just about 20 minutes here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your Daily Trump Date. I feel like it is my daily duty to remind you that Democrats are absolutely lying to your face when they say they don't want to fund Medicaid for illegal aliens. In fact, California has been doing so using a massive loophole, which was so big that California's spending from Medicaid coffers on health care for illegals was so big it drove up the cost of health care for illegals federally out of the emergency Medicaid budget in 2024 by a massive amount. Caroline Leavitt did just a masterful job. She is so incredibly effective as the White House press secretary. In about 2 minutes, she succinctly nuked pretty much every Democrat talking point about Medicaid for illegals. Take a listen.
The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution, let me just reiterate, the Republicans' continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution. There was no partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want and still want to this very second is a clean continuing resolution to fund the United States government. What did the Democrats want in their continuing resolution? They inserted a provision to undo a provision in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that ended taxpayer-funded health care illegal benefits for illegal aliens. Democrats' proposal would require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than Medicaid does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. And this bill would have also allowed California to continue a gimmick that funds its Medicaid for illegals program. Those are things that we ended, the Trump administration ended, with the passage and the signage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it is an undisputed fact, a fact that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded health care benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024.
That is absolute brutal efficiency in destroying Democrat talking points. I wish I was half as good as Caroline Leavitt is. That would take me like 6-7 minutes. That would be a complete segment. And in fact, we did this yesterday as well as the day before, it seems. But it's so important because this is just how the left works. And normally they will be able to just kind of repeat their lies over and over again with a compliant media that will just repeat and regurgitate their talking points as gospel. But something strange has sort of happened during this current government shutdown. The left-wing media has not been as compliant as in past shutdowns. In fact, even Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, took to the floor of the Senate today to complain that the New York Times is actually, are you ready for this, biased against liberals. Yes, his fellow senators laughed in his face when he tried to suggest this.
Now, I know the leader is going to show a poll that says that Democrats will be blamed for the shutdown. There are many more polls that show Republicans are blamed. The question in that poll is biased. Biased. In the New York Times, but it's biased. If you turn the... That's true. I don't always believe the New York Times. You can be sure of that. Neither do you. Okay.
You gotta be kidding me. When Chuck Schumer is trying to claim that the New York Times is running a push poll to try to gin up the idea that Democrats are to blame and not Republicans for the shutdown. This is why Democrats want to shut the government down to begin with, because they know that news organizations like the New York Times, which are responsible for setting the agenda for the rest of the media, both national and local, and thus influencing how many untold millions of people who consume just mindlessly these news organizations and how they feel about the shutdown and who they're going to blame for the shutdown. Now, what Schumer knows, the idea that, oh, yes, they're running a push poll so that Democrats get the blame in the New York Times because of its well-known liberal bias. Yes, if there is one thing I know about the Times, it's that it is just hopelessly biased against liberals. Against liberals. Yeah, there was that full editorial board freak out and the threat of mass resignations in 2020 over the Democrat senator's editorial. No, it was Republican Senator Tom Cotton who said, yes, you are probably going to have to call in the National Guard to break up the George Floyd riots. You had to peel the left-wingers from the fainting couches after that went to print. Yes, the New York Times, famed bastion of conservatism. It's like the Weekly Standard, the National Review, and the New York Times. Forget about the old gray lady. It is the red lady. It is the MAGA hat where, oh my God, yeah, old Pinch Sulzberger walking around the Times newsroom with a MAGA hat on. The reason that people are blaming Democrats for the shutdown is because Democrats are to blame for the shutdown. Republicans are perfectly fine with negotiating the items that Democrats want, just not in a continuing resolution. And in fact, Chuck Schumer has said over and over and over again, you don't debate policy at the tip of a spear while holding the federal government hostage. What I thought was rather remarkable is that there was a montage that was floating around of Chuck Schumer's own words. I didn't put it together. CNN did. The fact that even CNN, even the New York Times are saying, hey, wait a minute, this is probably bad strategy for the Democrats. That's a bad sign. And they're not saying it because suddenly they're biased against liberals or they've got a William F. Buckley-ish conservative bent to them. No, it's because they understand that President Trump and his Office of Management and Budget are absolutely going to use this shutdown to eliminate unnecessary and redundant jobs in the federal government or jobs that are in departments like DEI or climate change or things like that that just don't align with the Trump administration's vision, which I will remind you, they are well within their rights to do. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Conservative thought, not just talk, back in just 3 minutes.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City
free total traffic tip line at 414-944-5111.
Heavy delays westbound on A94 from the Mitchell interchange to Loomis, where you got a crash taking out the 2 right lanes. 94 eastbound stall at 68th has now been moved off to the left shoulder. Still got delays from 84th to 35th. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll share the story of the origin of how basketball came to be. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Join us for the Royal Events Ladies Night at your local running store, Wednesday, October 8th from 4 to 7. A night of fun for princesses of all ages, coming together for a regal feast of snacks, treats, prizes, and more. Register for your chance to win a Milwaukee Tool drill kit or one of 20 $50 running gift cards. Cancer picked the wrong princess. Grab a bucket for $4.95 with half of the proceeds going to a local charity. Get 20% off all the clothing and footwear you can fit inside, and 10% off almost everything else. Shop our realm of 90 stores. Go to runnings.com for more information.
Hey, you confused about real estate? Sean Hannity here, and I can tell you as an active real estate investor, the good news is you have a truly amazing agent right in your backyard. I'm talking about Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Just go to wihomeeval.com.
At Advent, nasal congestion and sinus infections can be solved with an in-office 20-minute procedure. Elsewhere, expect surgery.
We're trying to create a family feel that makes both children and adults feel at ease.
It sounds cliche, but when you come to Elmbrook Family Dental, we're going to make you feel at home.
Elmbrook Family Dental.
With 2 locations in Brookfield.
And just off Maple Road in Wauwatosa.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules. Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Never let it be said that Dan O'Donnell is not a man of the people, that he does not listen to the members of Dan Nation. A number of people are texting and even calling up, not to complain about the fact that I look like a bobblehead, according to our people who are watching on the Dano cam. Totally true. I absolutely own that. I think I'm going to have to do what was that movie? What was the Julia Roberts hooker movie? Pretty Woman. Was it Pretty Woman where she had the book on her head, where she was trying to walk? Was it My Fair Lady, where she had to practice her posture? And am I going to hear, look at this. If you're watching on the Dano cam, I can talk without moving my head. I have now got my cell phone, and it's an expensive cell phone. It's an iPhone Pro. Maybe it's a couple of years old, but look at how still my head can be. No, they're not still complaining about that. They're complaining about the very real fact that I did not give the Fall Fortune Cash contest in the 4 o'clock hour word yet. For that, I deeply apologize, but I will say you still have about 27 minutes to go to our website and enter the keyword cash, C-A-S-H, cash. You've got until 55 past the hour to go to our website and enter the keyword cash. Your entry is picked at random. You will win $1,000 in cash instantly, courtesy of iHeartMedia. We had a winner on the Dan O'Donnell Show yesterday, listening on our Great Madison affiliate, News Talk 1310 WIBA. We really do appreciate you listening to us. And this is really distracting, trying to do a radio segment with a phone on my head, but I'm actually watching myself on the Dano cam, and it's working. Do I sound more robotic, producer Jeff? Do I really? I got to work on that. You see, it is, I'm telling you folks, if you were listening to us in the last hour, I move my head and I move my hands, and I'm very expressive when I talk, not only because I'm half Italian, which is, it's a very real, there are some stereotypes that are just true. And one of them is Italians talk with their hands. You would, first of all, I have super dark hair and super dark skin. So you'd probably think, if you saw me, he's probably Sicilian or maybe Jewish. My hair's straight as a board, so you'd probably think Italian. Then if you see and hear me talk, I'm loud and I talk with my hands. That's like that is 100% Siciliano. But in order to really convey emotion and really to get, it's just sort of an old trick I learned from, boy, I don't even know where I picked it up, but years and years and years, a lifetime spent in radio. When you only have your voice to use, you have to be extremely expressive. Belling was always very, very good at using those long, pregnant pauses for dramatic effect. I'm kind of more like, if Belling was the way I describe our two styles, Belling is more like jazz, right? He's sort of all over the place and kind of, I'm more straight ahead punk rock, just da, 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 three chords plowing straight ahead. By the way, my offer to my producer to do the 5 o'clock hour for me so I can hit happy hour on a beautiful Friday afternoon is rescinded, because instead of playing Dan O'Donnell Show approved bumper music, he was going to play, what was it, Guar and Slayer? We have heavy metal rocker producer Jeff Pipe Bomb Orlowski producing the show today, and my offer is officially rescinded. As good as he is with my man Tim Allen at Brewers Analysis, please do listen to them after each and every Brewers playoff game on our sister station 97.3 The Game. His taste in music is not really musical. Speaking of music, big day in the music industry today. Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, was released. Life of a Showgirl, starring Elizabeth Berkley of Saved by the Bell fame. If you get that reference, you are probably also in your mid-40s and every joint is starting to hurt. I live with two of the biggest Swifties in the world, my wife and daughter. We went to go see Taylor Swift on her Eras tour, not once, but twice. Once in Chicago, and once we happened to be in London with a group of listeners on our Dan O'Donnell Show adventure to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Taylor Swift happened to be at Wembley Stadium. I got tickets, which were actually remarkably inexpensive across the pond, for the very last row, straight back, but the very last row in a 90,000 seat stadium for Taylor Swift. As you can imagine, my daughter, who is 11 years old, have I told you about this, producer Jeff? I think I've been talking about the fact we got a puppy. I finally caved. We got a puppy. People been clamoring for the puppy pics. People want to see Buddy the dog. I will give you Buddy the dog content. He is a cute little boy. We had our front room turned into the Buddy room. He's got his bedroom. He's got his little doggy fence. He's got about 5,000 toys. He's got his little crate, which is his bed. He's got blankies. About a week ago, my wife says, well, Buddy seems lonely in Buddy's room. Instead of having a den for, me, the dog had his own room. Dog's crate got moved into our room. Guess who moved with him? My daughter, who has her own bathroom upstairs in her beautiful room that we built for her, she is now sleeping on the floor because, and I quote, she wants to make sure that Buddy is okay when he first wakes up and he doesn't whine or whimper that he's in his cage for like 5 seconds before Megan or I can get him out of the crate. So The Life of a Showgirl gets released probably at midnight, I don't know, on Spotify and all the streaming things. When Taylor Swift's big album Midnights came out in November of 2022, I think I've told this story before. My wife, who is never really into Taylor Swift, was like waiting for me to wake up. She had spent all night listening to the Taylor Swift new album and watching the Taylor Swift Anti-Hero video, which I'll admit is very, very well done. It's an excellent album. It's actually produced by one of my very favorite artists whose name is now absent, Jack Antonoff. Jack Antonoff of Bleachers and Fun produced the album. I just love his sound. I think he's one of the most talented guys in all of music and one of the smartest because he used to date Lena Dunham from Girls and then dumped her. So that proves his intelligence. Lena Dunham, of course, the millennial feminist icon who produced the whiniest show in television history, Girls. In any event, I woke up that morning to Megan basically standing over me, watching me wake up, saying, "You have to listen to the new Taylor Swift." I'm like, ah! And I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is actually incredible. It's a very good album. When both my wife and daughter woke up this morning, they made me put The Life of a Showgirl, the new Taylor Swift album, on my iPad, on Spotify. And Spotify has this feature where you can sort of preview every song. They'll give you like a 45-second preview. So we listen to every song. Do you know what my wife and daughter, who are the two biggest Swifties on planet Earth, said? Meh, it's not that good. So I can take that to mean that the Taylor Swift album, which is still going to set every record for spins, you don't get sales anymore. Nobody buys the album. You are paid a couple of fractions of a cent every time one of the streamers like Spotify or Apple Music or iHeartRadio plays the song. The artist gets a tiny fraction of a cent, and that's how they get paid. Obviously, they're not getting paid nearly as much as they used to when you have to go out and buy the vinyl or buy the tape or buy the CD. It's going to set every record there is. But I can tell you, it's not nearly as well received in the Swiftie community as the last couple of albums. When we come back, Congressman Scott Fitzgerald talks Taylor Swift. No, I'm just kidding. He's talking about the shutdown. We'll be back.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
Northbound on 4145 at Hampton, you got a crash off to the right shoulder. Already have some heavy delays from Mayfair up to Hampton. You got southbound delays down to Good Hope. A little break before you're tight again from Silver Spring to Capitol. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Verdict with Ted Cruz Podcast.
I'm Ben Ferguson. And I'm Ted Cruz. 3 times a week we do our podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz.
We're nationwide. We have millions of listeners.
We bring you behind the scenes, inside the White House, the Senate, the Supreme Court.
So download Verdict with Ted Cruz now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Warshawski trial attorney Frank Crivello here.
Folks, I'm Victor Harding. Frank is selected Best Lawyers 2024 Complex Litigation Lawyer of the Year.
More impressive is Victor Harding named Product Liability Attorney of the Year again for 2024.
It may sound boastful to mention these prestigious awards.
It's not boastful considering if you or someone you love is injured, you need to know 2 attorneys from the same personal injury firm being chosen by other lawyers and judges for these caliber of awards is very rare.
Heaven forbid you ever need an injury claim made on your behalf. If you do, the quality of your attorney and law firm will have a greater impact on the outcome than even the facts of your case.
Former clients, other lawyers, judges, law enforcement officers, and even insurance adjusters,
often our adversaries,
refer their family and friends to Warshawski because they know Warshawski will achieve maximum compensation.
Injured? It is about the money.
Borshevsky.com.
That's Borshevsky.com.
The annual Catholic Memorial High School open house is Sunday, October 12th. Become part of the CMH tradition and make plans now to attend from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on October 12th. Register at CatholicMemorial.net. Awarded for academic excellence, a rich tradition of athletic success, and an experience rooted in faith. Find out how your student can achieve more at CMH. Tour the school, meet faculty and coaches, learn about all the opportunities available for your student. Register today at CatholicMemorial.net. Catholic Memorial High School, where you rise.
Get everything you need for your next project at Menards. Elevate your home with new flooring from Shaw. Durable, waterproof vinyl plank offers high foot traffic performance. Warm and luxurious carpet offers soft underfoot comfort. Shaw has the perfect floor you need for your home. Shop our great selection of Shaw flooring in store and check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Are you on track to achieve your retirement plans? Hi, I'm Jeff Kowal of Kowal Investment Group. We've recently joined Creative Planning, a national registered investment advisor. This move to Creative expands our ability to provide comprehensive wealth management, investment advisory, and retirement planning services. Now is the time to put your lifetime of hard work into action. For over 37 years, we've helped clients toward making their retirement dreams become a reality, and we'd like to help you too. And the best part, your plan will be completely tailored to you. Our in-house team of specialists will take the time to learn about you and your family, review your current situation, and find out what your goals are. Then we'll design a plan to help you get there. To get started, request your free meeting today with one of our fiduciary advisors by visiting creativeplanning.com. Whether you have met with us in the past or this will be your first meeting with us, we're excited to introduce Kowal Investment Group to you as Creative Planning. Visit creativeplanning.com today.
You don't need to move up north to feel like you live up north. Trees on the Move has an evergreen sale on now. Save on 5 to 12-foot Black Hills spruce, Serbian spruce, Norway spruce, white pine, and more. Add to your landscape with 20 to 30-foot maples, elms, oaks, honey locust, arborvitae, junipers, and more. Trees on the Move has to clear 40 acres, and this is your chance to buy big and save big. Save up to 75% at Trees on the Move's evergreen sale, Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, Saturday 9 to 4, or see treesonthemove.com.
Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at Current Electric. The NARI Milwaukee 2025 Home and Remodeling Show is October 17th through the 19th at State Fair Park. The superheroes from Current Electric will be on site to answer any electrical questions you have, from outdoor lighting to solar to the importance of a Current Electric home standby generator. Stop by booth 343 and ask about the whole home surge protection included with every home generator installation. Head to currentelectric.com to learn more.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She can get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Fall is sports season, and iHeartRadio has it all. The NFL.
Touchdown, Green Bay Packers.
MLB playoffs.
It is gone.
College football, the NHL, and NBA preseason moves are underway. From scores and reactions to interviews and hot takes, it's all at your fingertips on the iHeartRadio app.
Appreciate you taking my call, guys.
Lock in with your favorite teams with play-by-play, podcasts, and local stations where you can react and join the conversation. Sports on iHeartRadio, where fans live it.
We report, you decide. Factual, fair, and balanced coverage. Your exclusive home of Fox News Radio. This is News Talk 1130 WISN. Talk Radio. Redefined. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Welcome back to it. We are, as always, honored to be joined live on the phone by Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. Sir, how many times have you listened to the new Taylor Swift album? 5, 6?
I have not heard it, but, mixed reviews is what I'm hearing out on
street. So I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe maybe the star is starting to dim a little bit.
I'll tell you what, if you have lost 11-year-old Grace O'Donnell, you have lost the Swiftie community. Actually, she's probably going to come home. I guarantee I'm probably going to get a text from my wife as they're on their way to soccer practice. She says, we've been listening to the new Taylor Swift album for the last hour while driving around. It's the best thing ever. So just initial reviews this morning were not good. Okay, you are not here to talk T Swift, unless, of course, you really want to, Congressman. You are here to talk shut down. What is the latest out of D.C.?
Well, the latest is that the Speaker just notified the members of the House that we will not be in D.C. next week.
Oh, wow.
So, that is kind of big news, because I think in the discussions we had in the conference calls that we've had up until now, there was still the possibility of trying to come in and open up the committee work and continue to go to the floor with some other legislation. But I think there's two things going on. One is that, when you're operating with a 2-seat majority, it's always difficult to kind of pull the team together and make sure everyone's there. And in this instance, the vote is so tight and so critical that, it would be difficult, I think, to function and operate without knowing exactly where all the votes are. And I don't think we know that at this point. And then the second piece is we did our work. I mean, we passed the CR, which is always kind of a mixed bag thing. You look at it and you're like, well, we're kind of in a situation where, we're just going to be back at it again on November 21st. So to some extent, I was still hopeful that the Senate would kind of see the light and allow us to continue with the appropriations process. And that's, I think, part of this that's underreported is that there's 12 appropriations bills that the House has put in a position to pass in Congress to fully fund the government. So, even though CRs are kind of continuation of that, I mean, there's a reason this CR was before us in the length of it, and it was because the appropriations process is going very well. Now, that doesn't mean the U.S. Senate could tackle that as well. I'm not going to promise that.
Right.
But I think we were in a great position to be able to pass the CR. But by the time I hit the ground on my flight, on the flyout day, the Senate had already voted it down. So, we find ourselves in a position of, I'm not sure what else the House could go back and do right now to change things. But I'm a little shocked at kind of the wrangling that the Democrats are doing. I've seen some pretty stupid things in the amount of time that I've been an elected official, but this is right up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've really walked into something here that ultimately they're just going to have to capitulate on, and it might come by U.S. senators figuring out that there's no negotiation that could or will happen, or it could be by the House, literally throwing in the towel. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
Do you think ultimately the Trump administration will move forward with mass layoffs, not necessarily to put pressure on Senate Democrats to get that CR done, but because this does present the opportunity to do what he has been in constant court battles over since the start of his term, and that's reduce the size of the federal government and reduce the amount that we're spending on frivolous programs?
Absolutely. I think somebody over in Schumer's office didn't think this through.
Yeah.
If there is any way to reduce the effectiveness of the legislative branch of government, it is to shut down the government. And that's what the Democrats have done. They have opened the door and have offered the flexibilities that the executive branch has been asking for since the day that Donald J. Trump was sworn into office. They've simply handed it to him, which, and I know Russ Vought, he's spoken to many of the members of the House on just what are things that you think would be valuable. What departments could we actually completely eliminate and it would have zero effect on government? And there's a lot of them, I can tell you that. And they've handed the keys to Russ Vought as well and said, we're just going to kind of throw up our hands and make the legislative branch completely ineffective because the government shut down so the executive branch can flex its muscle. And we all know Donald Trump is absolutely going to take advantage of that.
Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald joining me here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. The narrative is sort of out there that somehow on page 57 of the Democrats' continuing resolution, there is not a provision that would overturn the One Big Beautiful Bill's prohibition on Medicaid for illegal aliens. That they're trying to pretend that is not right there. I can give you the page. 57. Yeah. It is on page 57. Go to page 57 right now. You will find it right there. It throws out the One Big Beautiful Bill's healthcare provisions. And one of those is prohibiting illegals from accessing Medicaid. What do you make about Democrats just trying and I believe failing to get this lie into the public consciousness?
So the new phrase is activity and legal status. And the reason that's important is because it describes the way that illegals get into our healthcare system, right? Oftentimes it's a mixed bag when you're talking about either a family that has different statuses where you may have somebody born here, right, but the head of the household maybe is illegal or vice versa. So there's all these different kind of nuances to what illegals use to get into the healthcare system. But we all know what the access point is. Yeah. It's been like this for decades, and that is the emergency room, right?
Yep. So anybody who has been in an emergency room for the last 15 to 20 years knows exactly why. Anybody, truly. The idea that illegals are not using emergency rooms as primary care is so beyond ludicrous, it doesn't even pass the basic smell test.
Exactly. I mean, everyone knows you go into the doctor's office, you go to the clinic for maybe even a regular checkup, and the first thing they ask for is ID, your driver's license, and your insurance card. Well, illegals don't have those two things. And if they do, they're probably bogus anyways. So the way to get into the system is you go to the ER. You can have anything from obviously a sniffles to something more seriously. And once they're in that system, they are tapping into Medicaid.
Yep.
And that is what the Democrats have not fully described because they know it's been going on for years.
Yeah.
They love it. They love the way it is. They love the way it's structured. And so this red herring now that they are using in this CR discussion is completely omitting this whole operation that we know happens throughout the U.S. And we just had one of the top healthcare systems in the city of Denver. The CEO kind of said it out loud. He's like, listen, we have so many illegals going into our ER rooms right now that we went back and added it all up. It's $10 million just since the beginning of the year in unpaid services. And it's all because we can't deny anybody access and they're not paying and we know it and they know it.
And everybody knows it. Right. No, of course it's not. And I'm told you have some new data on illegal immigration.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that we've been kind of focused on when we did the working family bill, the big, beautiful bill, was that in many instances, especially in rural U.S., that a lot of these smaller hospitals kind of found themselves in a position where they can't simply have the same type of admissions that some of these larger hospitals can take. So what you're seeing is a shift. They're actually now this is almost mind-boggling, but a lot of the illegals, they're following money. They have figured out that in some instances they have to hit kind of multiple healthcare systems and multiple healthcare delivery, rural settings, hospitals, clinics, all those, to make sure that they're never kind of nailed down. So this is stuff that budget management has had And now we're all starting to see kind of the way it works across the entire country.
Absolutely unbelievable. Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald joining me here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, don't be a stranger. Keep us posted on what's going on. That you did, I think, break some news that Congress is not going, the House at least is not going to be in session next week. The Senate very likely will be, as they attempt to pass the same clean CR that you did in the House. But that's actually that's pretty big news. So keep us posted, please, sir. Do appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. He is Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. I'll be honest with you. Hearing him say that members should not come in next week makes me think that this is probably going to go through at least the next couple of weeks. I had thought that the shutdown was probably going to last a week, 2 weeks. Now I'm starting to think we might be maybe into early November. It's entirely possible because Democrats are going to double down. They have always counted on the media to just sort of echo their talking points, and that's not really happening. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Conservative thought, not just talk.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Stop and go most of the way on 43 southbound Good Hope to the Marquette. About a 17-minute trip there. On to 4394 southbound, another 10 to the Mitchell with a stall on the right. Westbound on 894 heavy from the Mitchell to Loomis with a crash block in the right lane. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
Why haven't you listened to Red Pilled America? I get it. You must have pronouns in your bio. Because if you don't, then you should be listening to Red Pilled America. It's a storytelling show for patriots. Listen to Red Pilled America on the iHeartRadio app. That's Red Pilled America.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, which really is your best decision after a collision. I've been trusting my vehicles with Mander for years, and I've referred dozens of family members and friends there. All of them say the exact same thing as Mander customer Adam, who left this 5-star review. Your car will be in great hands here. Brian and Crystal took amazing care of my BMW M4. I had dents and scratches from a tree branch falling on my car, and they made sure that the car was taken care of. Everyone at Mander was professional and timely. I hope I don't need their services anytime soon, but if I do, I'll be back. Mander has locations across the greater Milwaukee and Waukesha area, so getting to one is easy and convenient. And starting your repair is just as easy and even more convenient. All you need to do is head online to mandercollision.com.
Imagine your home totally organized. At Closets by Design, we specialize in providing affordable, custom-built storage solutions with built-ins and beyond. Get 40% off plus an additional 15% with 18-month financing. Let's get organized together.
I'm Dan O'Donnell. This is This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Pinch hitting for the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano, is its chief economist, Brian Jacobson. And Brian, we've already gotten one rate cut from the Federal Reserve. How many more can we reasonably expect before the end of this year?
Well, I think that what we're going to see is probably 3, but a lot is going to depend on the data. Lately, they have really come out and talked about how maybe this is just one and done. Yet, there are a number of them who are saying that they want a much more aggressive pace of rate cuts. So I'm somewhat sympathetic to Chair Powell. It's probably a lot like herding cats right now.
I could imagine it is, because he's got the simultaneous calls for more rate cuts coming from the White House, balanced with the possibility that if the economy is doing much better than we think, and certainly the GDP number that was just revised well upward would suggest that we're doing very well, you don't want to reignite inflation.
Well, and that's just it. In their latest summary of economic projections, they upgraded their growth outlook, but they also increased what they think inflation might be this year, which it might be counterintuitive to say that then they cut rates. So we do have to see how things play out. That increase in inflation is likely, let's break out that word again, transitory. They're probably going to be talking about that because if it's tariff induced, they know that that's not a permanent change in the trajectory of inflation. When it comes to the growth picture, a lot of that data that they had been looking at, especially with the labor market, is very backward looking, and that was revised a lot lower. But as you pointed out, those GDP numbers, gross domestic product, the hard data is pointing to an acceleration. So we're getting a lot of mixed messages here.
The last thing anybody wants to hear, though, is that T word, transitory. Brian, although it does seem like you are most likely right. For Brian Jacobson, the chief economist at Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has expanded strength equipment. We're raising the bar with these benches, and our hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all the best-in-class equipment we've always had. There's no better time to get stronger. Join the club today for $1 down, $15 a month, now through October 10th. Planet Fitness is proud to partner with Boys and Girls Clubs of America to create stronger, kinder communities. See Home Club for details.
At Advent, we help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine by getting your nose and throat working with our unique Advent approach that you won't find elsewhere.
AdventNose.com. Your home cleaning friend. It's Edelman again. Edelman.
You love her twice as much today as the day you married her, right?
Welcome to Kessler's.
Smart speakers put WISN's programs as close as the sound of your voice. Tell Alexa, Google Home, or Siri on HomePod to play 1130 WISN on iHeartRadio and listen to Milwaukee's best talk shows.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Listen to Clay and Buck weekdays 11 to 2 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
With news on WISN, I'm Raymond Newport. A suspect connected to a fatal shooting in Glendale is in custody. That shooting happened on Monday. 45-year-old Kamonte McFarland died Wednesday at a hospital. The suspect was arrested in a crash in Indiana. Several members of Wisconsin's congressional delegation foregoing their payments during the government shutdown. That includes Glenn Grothman, Tony Weed, Republican Brian Stile, and Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin. And ICE agents raided a home in Madison this week. Madison police say that happened on Thursday, but no specifics were given. Police say they did not assist. Checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, it will be the Brewers versus the Cubs tomorrow in the Division Series. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Raymond Newport on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast presented by AdventKnows.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Skies will remain mostly clear tonight with partly sunny sky conditions as we head into Friday. Temperatures are going to warm up to the mid to upper 80s throughout the weekend. Cooler temperatures will arrive next week with a chance for rain, and that's all going to start on Monday. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Holly Baker.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll share the true story of one of the first men to set foot in America, Captain John Smith. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Hey, Wisconsin, Jerry Bott here. When you're shopping for a new vehicle, it's common for uneasiness to set in. Am I getting the best deal? Am I getting what I'm paying for? At Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac, those questions just melt away. Holiday is proudly staffed by very nice, straight-shooting automotive professionals who are refreshingly direct and completely transparent. I'm a fan of that, and you will be too.
Gear up now during the truck season sale at Holiday in Fond du Lac and get more truck or SUV for your buck, more for your trade, and enjoy vehicle shopping that's fun, simple, and pressure-free. Stack enticing offers on top of Holiday's low simplified price on a new Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC, and check out the deep model year-end savings on remaining 2025s. With the weather right and fall trips ahead, the time is right to find yours and discover the difference during the truck season sale on now at Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac and at holidaygm.com.
It's worth the trip.
I'm Dan Voss from Cut and Go.
ugly and depressing, and trees killed off by emerald ash, oak wilt, and Dutch elm disease are dangerous for friends and loved ones, even a potential liability. Slowly rotting, left-standing hardwood trees can weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Even seemingly smaller branches can weigh tens, even hundreds of pounds. With cut and go, there is no reason to risk injury or property damage. Live trees in precarious placement for an arborist to remove over homes, garages, commercial buildings, luxury landscapes are easily and safely laid on the ground by cut and go NCCER, crane-operated, certified, remote-control, automobile-mounted articulating crane grapple saw operators. You can save big money and stock up on firewood by having Cut and Go put your trees on the ground for you to clean up or have a bonfire or split firewood. Or we can take it all with us when we leave. A Tons of Trees movement. Cut and Go trees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com. Once again, that's cutandgotrees.com.
Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040.
Higher design, higher style, higher Wisconsin Kitchen Mart.
Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon. I'm certified financial planner professional Aaron Spitzner with your closing business report. Stocks were mixed today as investors largely shrugged off the ongoing government shutdown, now in its third day. The delay of key economic data like the September jobs report is adding some uncertainty. At the same time, strength in both stocks and bonds has some investors uneasy, wondering if things are getting overheated. And President Trump is reportedly weighing $10 billion in aid for U.S. farmers facing fallout from tariffs. On the day, the Dow was up 238 points to 46,758. The S&P 500 was even, and the NASDAQ fell 63 points. From Creative Planning, I'm Aaron Spitzner.
Final hour of a busy broadcast week here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. That means coming up in about 15 or 20 minutes, we will get to the strangest stories of the past 7 days. It's a segment that we call How Bizarre. It does not get more bizarre, ladies and gentlemen, than the saga of the Des Moines, Iowa school superintendent. The guy making $300,000 of taxpayer money was an illegal immigrant with a violent past who not only was registered to vote in Maryland, he did vote. This brings us to a very important story that you're probably not going to hear about anywhere else. A big decision out of the Waukesha County Circuit Court regarding the Wisconsin Elections Commission and whether it needs to do its job and ensure that illegal aliens or those who are otherwise not lawfully allowed to cast a ballot are not on Wisconsin's voter rolls like this Iowa superintendent and are not voting like he allegedly did in Maryland. We will get to that coming up in just a second. First, your 5 o'clock word in the Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Let me make sure I've got the right one. I accidentally grabbed the 4 o'clock word. Nope. 5 o'clock word is right here. It is deposit, DEPOSIT, deposit. You have got until 55 past the hour to go to our website and enter the keyword deposit to enter the contest for this hour. If your entry is picked at random, you will make a deposit in the amount of $1,000, courtesy of us here at iHeart Media. Decision reached today in a lawsuit filed against the Wisconsin Elections Commission in Waukesha County Circuit Court, alleging that WEC, the Wisconsin Elections Commission, was shirking its responsibility to fairly administer Wisconsin's elections by not cross-referencing voter rolls with Wisconsin Department of Transportation data that would show whether someone has a valid driver's license or whether someone is, in fact, someone who has a driver's license that is a temporary issue, that is one that cannot be used for voting, but otherwise looks identical to regular driver's licenses. We were among the ones who drew the attention to this just before last year's presidential election, and the Wisconsin Elections Commission did not want to do anything about this. Do you realize that you can get a driver's license if you are now illegals cannot get driver's licenses, but if you are a legal United States immigrant, you are not a citizen, ergo you are not eligible to vote, you can get a driver's license that looks identical to a U.S. citizen's driver's license. There is just a tiny little phrase that's printed on it that would identify you as someone who is not a U.S. resident. It doesn't say that. I believe it was temporary status or something like that, non-domiciled or something like that. And it's for people who are in this country temporarily, and in this state temporarily, but we, for reasons known only to the Tony Evers DOT, although I suspect I know the exact reason that we're giving people who aren't authorized to vote but have to show photo ID in order to vote, IDs that look identical to lawful voters' IDs. They can show those driver's licenses, and unless there is an eagle-eyed volunteer who scans that license and says, hey, wait a second, I recognize this, you're not eligible to vote, that person would be able to be added to the voter rolls. Remember, we do have same-day voter registration here in Wisconsin. You could use, theoretically, that ID to get registered and to vote. WEC has been maintaining, since this issue was brought to the fore, that it doesn't have an affirmative responsibility to ensure that only lawful qualified electors vote, which is ridiculous on its face, because if your job isn't to administer elections by ensuring only people who are authorized to vote in those elections actually vote in those elections, then what is your actual function? According to the Waukesha County Circuit Court order, shockingly, the agency that Wisconsin's citizens rely on to ensure the integrity of our electoral process claims Wisconsin statutes do not require the commission to prevent non-U.S. citizens from appearing on the list or to remove non-U.S. citizens from the list. WEC is wrong. Wisconsin statutes are replete with requirements that only lawful voters are allowed to cast a vote. WEC has no discretion whether to include non-U.S. citizens in the official voter roll, because the official voter roll may only include those electors that are properly registered to vote, pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 5.02. WEC is failing in the most basic task of ensuring that only lawful voters make it to the voter roll from where lawful votes are cast. Does not get simpler than that, does it? Guess what's almost certainly going to happen? WEC is going to appeal this decision, whether or not it goes and gets a favorable disposition in the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. It's going to go to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. This is where that state Supreme Court election becomes so important. Do you think the state Supreme Court, controlled by the 4 liberals that currently control it, is ever going to uphold this decision that WEC has an affirmative duty to ensure that only U.S. citizens vote? Of course not. The circuit court has ordered that WEC is going to figure out a plan for doing just this by 60 days from now. The court's clerk shall set a status hearing via Zoom in 60 days to update the court on the progress of said plan, I believe that's a typo, and to discuss any other legal issues or relief remaining on this matter. This is a pretty straightforward ruling. WEC was claiming, now nobody is claiming that unlawful voters or people who are ineligible to vote should remain on the voter rolls. They should not. WEC stipulates to this point. WEC's argument, though, is that as the administrator of Wisconsin's elections, it has no affirmative duty to make sure that the voter rolls are clean, that the voter rolls do not have on them people who are ineligible to cast votes in Wisconsin elections. What then would WEC's job be? This is the most basic function of an election administrator, of an election administrative body, whether it's a Secretary of State, which most states have to run elections, or like Wisconsin, we have the Elections Commission. This is exactly what the job is. WEC is trying to claim, well, it's individual clerks. They have to clean up their rolls. And we have the multi-state database that's known as ERIC, and we need to comply with that. Remember, WEC fought for years against cleaning up the voter rolls at all. They wanted everyone and anyone who had ever been eligible to vote in Wisconsin to just sort of remain on the voter rolls almost in perpetuity, saying we only have an affirmative duty to clean up the state's voter rolls every 4 years. Well, Wisconsin statutes are very clear. In fact, there is an affirmative duty to constantly be monitoring and to make sure that Wisconsin's voter rolls are current. I also can't think of a legitimate reason. I can think of all manner of illegitimate reasons that an election entity would have for not clearing up voter rolls, for not ensuring that ineligible people do not cast ballots. But I would love to give the benefit of the doubt to the Wisconsin Elections Commission here. If there is some sort of valid reason, I read the 13 pages of this. In fact, this was just brought to me right before the show started. So I sort of had to take some commercial breaks to read and digest this opinion. I did not get in this opinion a single cogent argument from WEC for why they don't have to comply with federal law and why they don't have to comply with state law and they don't have to uphold the most fundamental, elemental function of an election administrator. And that is making sure that only those who are eligible to vote are eligible to vote. Not only that, the notion that driver's licenses for those who are ineligible to vote look very nearly identical to those who are not eligible to vote. My goodness, when a kid has his temps, we print it the vertical way on the license, vertically on the license. You're telling me you can't have in giant letters not to be used for voting printed right on the thing? Of course you can. It also is remarkable to me that we don't have, how many times have you had to not just show your ID, to buy alcohol or tobacco or lottery tickets or something, but scan your ID. It is remarkable to me that with all the technology that we don't have a scan to make sure this is a valid ID. This would not destroy the secret ballot. It would merely validate that the Daniel O'Donnell who is showing up at the polls is actually the Daniel O'Donnell who is registered to vote, and that Daniel O'Donnell is casting a vote. But over the past 5 years, using COVID as an excuse to start, at least, we have done away with practically every real insurance mechanism that we have that only valid votes are cast. I keep using the example of the temporarily or indefinitely confined voter. Do you remember how we went from about 55 to 60,000 indefinitely confined voters out of a state population of about 5.9 million in 2019 to 250,000 in 2020? That only happens because people are being told to mark themselves as indefinitely confined, even if they're not indefinitely confined. Now, there are people who really are confined to their homes, or people for whom it is very, very difficult to get out and to cast a vote. People who are very old, they're infirm, they're confined to a wheelchair, maybe they have extreme difficulty getting around. Those people are the people for whom the indefinitely confined status is reserved. And there are far fewer than 250,000 of them. But the advantage of the indefinitely confined status has always been that you only need to show photo ID once, as opposed to every single time you go to vote, and then ballots are just automatically mailed to the house. To illustrate how absurd this is and how it is impossible to demonstrate whether or not and to prove whether or not the Daniel O'Donnell who lives at Daniel O'Donnell's house was actually the one filling out the ballot, there are 5 O'Donnells, 6 now if you include Buddy the dog, who live at my house. How could you possibly prove that Daniel O'Donnell is the one who filled out the ballot? I told you I have an 11-year-old daughter. How do you know she's not the one who filled out the bubbles? You don't. I sign my name to it. I go on my merry way. When you vote in person, the ballot is handed directly to me. This is known as chain of custody. We have a direct chain of custody from the pile of ballots sitting behind the desk with qualified election workers who are designated from a pool of both political parties, and they go in and they represent the city. Normally, they're kindly little old ladies. They do a fantastic job each and every election. The ballot goes directly from little old lady to Daniel O'Donnell. Daniel O'Donnell goes to the little tables with the security thing so people can't cheat off of my ballot. And then the ballot goes right into the machine. Or if I am voting in-person absentee, which is still the biggest, most insane oxymoron I think I've ever, in-person absentee voting, better known as early voting, the ballot goes directly from me into the envelope, sealed by me, where it goes and sits in a locked facility, in a locked box or a locked, the chain of custody, it never once leaves. There is no chance for anybody not named Daniel O'Donnell to fill out Daniel O'Donnell's ballot. Mail-in ballots provide for an insane violation of chain of custody. And this is why they were always viewed with suspicion, and still are. I always found it endlessly hilarious that in the wake of the disastrous 2020 presidential election, where mail-in ballots dominated, Amazon, the owner of the Washington Post, refused to allow mail-in ballots to be used for a unionization vote at a plant in, I think, Virginia, but memory is sort of failing on where exactly the plant was. But it was a unionization vote at Amazon. They would not allow mail-in ballots because, and I quote, the potential for fraud was way too high. So if they're not good enough for a unionization vote at Amazon, someone please tell me how they're good enough for presidential and statewide elections. This, however, is a good start that we have a judge saying, yes, WEC, you do need to validate driver's licenses. You do need to make sure that the voter rolls are current, they're accurate, and they don't include a whole bunch of people who are ineligible to vote. Strangest stories of the past 7 days. I can't wait. You can't wait. It's How Bizarre, and it's coming up next.
Conservative thought, not just talk. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Jammed eastbound on 94 between the Zoo Interchange and 35th. Westbound delays from 27 to Mitchell Boulevard. 894 southbound tightens up at Oklahoma, continuing down to the Hale. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, the Vietnam War swift boat soldier, Ollie Hale, tells the story of his life-changing family secret.
Our 2025 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One.
Streaming only on Hulu.
Right now. Jelly roll!
Hi, this is Ed Sheeran.
Cool.
Brian Adams. Make some noise for Tate McRae. Hey, I'm Sammy Hagar. We have room 5. Good evening.
Hey, this is John Fogerty.
And so much more.
See it all at our 2025 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One. Streaming only on Hulu right now.
Bob from Redefine Realty with a riddle for you. Guess correctly before I give the answer, and you are a winner. Only agents from one real estate company already know the answer. Ready? Pay attention. Here goes. I'm a contest between 4 or 5, even 10 people that only ends when one absolute winner is declared, yet I have 2 winners. What am I? You got it? Are you a winner? Need more time? No, it's not the record at auction sale price of $2 million for a Wu-Tang Clan vinyl record. That's an impressive guess, though. Selling a home? Only Redefined Realty's proprietary method guarantees buyers get every opportunity to pay you maximum dollar and that you will leave closing with maximum profit. One more time. I'm a contest between 4 or 5, even 10 people that only ends when one absolute winner is declared, yet I have 2 winners. What am I? The answer is a Redefined Realty MLS home sale boosted by easy home bidder auction. Buyers win, sellers win. Let yourself win. Real estate for winners. RedefinedRealty.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at ACCUNET.com.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you across the greater Milwaukee area. Start your repair right now at mandercollision.com. Mander truly is the best decision after a collision.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number 1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
We do cover a lot of serious stuff here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, like a great court ruling. Props to Ardis Cerny. She is a good government and fair election advocate who just does tireless work. She was actually the one who brought the lawsuit against the Wisconsin Elections Commission that led to a very favorable Waukesha County Circuit Court ruling, which we were going over in the first segment of the Dan O'Donnell Show just a second ago. Thanks to her lawsuit, this judge is ordering WEC to do its job and to actually ensure that only qualified electors and lawful citizens are voting in Wisconsin's elections. We cover, serious stuff like that all the time. But on a Friday afternoon, Friday evening, the sun is starting to hang low in the sky. It's still a gorgeous 75 degrees outside. Man, oh man, have we been blessed with just incredible weather this September and into early October. And I guess that's going to continue at least for the next couple of days, thankfully through this weekend. But as we're sort of getting into weekend mode, maybe we have already got a cocktail in our hands. It is time to ditch the serious and focus instead on the silly, the strange, the stories that make us cock an eyebrow and say to ourselves,
How bizarre! How bizarre!
The saga of Ian Andre Roberts is one of the most bizarre that I've seen in quite some time. He was just discovered to be an illegal alien as the head of the Des Moines, Iowa public school system, the superintendent there. Well, an investigation has revealed that this guy has a long, violent history since he illegally came to this country from Guyana in 1994. In 96, he's charged with criminal possession of narcotics with intent to sell, criminal possession of a forgery instrument, and possession of a forged instrument in New York, 1998. He's hit with a charge of third-degree unauthorized use of a vehicle in Queens. Now, that was dismissed the following year. He's convicted in 2012 for reckless driving, unsafe operation, and speeding in Maryland. In February of 2020, criminal possession of a weapon. He had a loaded firearm outside of his home or business, third-degree criminal possession of a weapon, an ammunition feeding device, and fourth-degree weapons charges. A document from February 4th, 2020 indicates the second-degree criminal possession charge was inchoate. 2022, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania convicted Roberts of unlawful possession of a loaded firearm. September 26, 2025, he's arrested with a Glock 9 pistol, a fixed-blade hunting knife. He had $3,000 in cash on him, and he's criminally charged yesterday with being an illegal alien in possession of firearms. With that criminal record, he was the superintendent of the largest public school system in the state of Iowa. How is that even possible? And what's remarkable is that he has had run-ins with ICE pretty much throughout his tenure and his lengthy criminal career. In fact, he filed green card applications on at least 4 separate occasions. On 4 separate occasions, it was denied. He kept applying for employment authorization documents. Now, amazingly, in 2019, they were approved, but they expired December of 2020. So he has been overstaying a work visa for 5 years. Now, how he was able to get a work visa after that many criminal charges, that many criminal convictions across multiple states, from Pennsylvania to New York to Maryland, and finally getting arrested in Iowa, that's beyond me. And oh, by the way, he was also confirmed to have voted illegally in Maryland on multiple occasions. Folks, that's less bizarre than it is an indictment of just how lax our illegal immigration protection has been, as well as what a joke our voting laws have been.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Port Charlotte, Florida, a woman arrested Monday. She stole a motorized shopping cart from a Publix, drove it down Airport Road in Punta Gorda, according to the sheriff's office. Deputies responded to that Publix around 10:12. Deputies say they talked to a store manager who told them that a woman had come to the store, stolen a motorized shopping cart, and was seen driving it south on Tamiami Trail from Airport Road. Deputies tracked down the woman, identified as 42-year-old Robin Zick of Punta Gorda, to a Circle K gas station almost a mile away from that Publix. Zick told them that she took the motorized cart to go to a medical appointment she had, telling deputies she planned on driving the cart to her appointment and then bringing it back to the Publix. No, doesn't quite work like that. She is now under arrest and in custody, facing charges of grand theft.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Artificial intelligence agency Dual Entry has raised $90 million in a Series A round led by Lightspeed Ventures. What is the actual name of the company? Well, it's Company. What does the company do? Nothing. They just registered Company and got a whole round of financing and Series A bonds for Company. It is actually a test of just how effectively artificial intelligence can go through the entire process of founding a company. Now, if you didn't think that was scary enough as to what our future is going to look like, take a look at this.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Police in Northern California were perplexed. They pulled over a taxi after it made an illegal U-turn. Do you know who they ticketed? Nobody. It was a driverless Waymo. There was no one behind the wheel and no one to ticket. The San Bruno Police Department wrote in a now viral social media post that officers were conducting a DUI operation early Saturday morning when a self-driving Waymo made the illegal turn right in front of them. Officers stopped the vehicle but declined to write a ticket as their citation books don't have a box for robot. That's right, read the post. No driver, no hands, no clue. Officers contacted Waymo to report what they called a glitch, and in the post they said they hope reprogramming will deter more illegal moves. The department's Facebook post has generated more than 500 comments, with many people outraged that police didn't ticket the company. Police also wanted to know, and I do too, what is the big thing that you're wondering about this story? How did they get the Waymo to pull over? My guess is that the sensors and the cameras can determine, and the artificial intelligence can interpret when a police officer is right behind the car and wants it to pull over. And that answers that mystery. But as for whether or not you can ticket a self-driving car, San Bruno Sergeant Scott Smith-Matungle? Is that actually his name? Smith-Matungle. Scott Smith-Matungle. That could be its own how bizarre story in and of itself. Scott Smith-Matungle said they can only ticket a human driver or operator for a moving violation, unlike parking tickets that can be left with the vehicle. Now, a new state law that kicks in next year will allow police to report moving violations to the Department of Motor Vehicles, which is figuring out the specifics, including potential penalties of what exactly happens when you don't have a driver, but a car commits a moving violation. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your weekly look back at the strangest stories of the past 7 days in a segment we call
How bizarre! How bizarre!
The Dan O'Donnell Show, coming right back.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Delays much better. Southbound 43, only slow now from Good Hope down to Bender. Northbound is also clear. Northbound on 4145 still got delays in pockets from Mayfair up to Hampton. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Red Pilled America.
Why haven't you listened to Red Pilled America? I get it. You must have pronouns in your bio. Because if you don't, then you should be listening to Red Pilled America. It's a storytelling show for patriots. Listen to Red Pilled America on the iHeartRadio app. That's Red Pilled America.
Hi, I'm Willa Voss. I'm 8 years old. Mom and Dad own Cut and Go Tree Service. Yes, they did name me after a tree. Our family loves this country and the freedom it provides. Every morning, I look forward to starting the school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say it along with me, even if you just say it in your mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. American patriots will enjoy a 5% discount for flying the American flag and mentioning this commercial when the Cut and Go remote control, automobile mounted, articulated crane, grapple saw operators are putting your dead trees on the ground or removing large branches that grew over something important. An all-American Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CutandGoTrees.com.
I'm Victor Harding, a true trial attorney at Warshevsky Law. You've heard our advertising for years. While it's been effective introducing Warshevsky to injured people in need of maximum judgments and settlements, most of our clients come from personal referral. Referrals from former clients grateful for the settlement or trial judgment Warshevsky won on their behalf. Thus, they're recommending us to friends and family. Referrals from people in the community, including other lawyers and judges who want to make sure their friends and family are taken care of. Still not sure? Ask around. Warshevsky is referred by Wisconsin law enforcement officers who've seen Warshevsky attorneys in action, desperate to make sure friends and family receive just compensation. Insurance adjusters, often our adversaries, refer their family members hurt in accidents. They know the work we do. They all refer Warshevsky because big case or small, we can help. If someone you love is injured, please let them know, because at the end of their ordeal, their injury is about the money. Warshevsky.com.
I'm Dan O'Donnell. This is This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Pitch hitting for the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano, is its chief economist, Brian Jacobson. And Brian, we've already gotten one rate cut from the Federal Reserve. How many more can we reasonably expect before the end of this year?
Well, I think that what we're going to see is probably 3, but a lot is going to depend on the data. Lately, they have really come out and talked about how maybe this is just one and done. Yet, there are a number of them who are saying that they want a much more aggressive pace of rate cuts. So I'm somewhat sympathetic to Chair Powell. It's probably a lot like herding cats right now.
I could imagine it is, because he's got the simultaneous calls for more rate cuts coming from the White House, balanced with the possibility that if the economy is doing much better than we think, and certainly the GDP number that was just revised well upward would suggest that we're doing very well, you don't want to reignite inflation.
Well, and that's just it. In their latest summary of economic projections, they upgraded their growth outlook, but they also increased what they think inflation might be this year, which it might be counterintuitive to say that then they cut rates. So we do have to see how things play out. That increase in inflation is likely, let's break out that word again, transitory. They're probably going to be talking about that because if it's tariff induced, they know that that's not a permanent change in the trajectory of inflation. When it comes to the growth picture, a lot of that data that they had been looking at, especially with the labor market, is very backward looking, and that was revised a lot lower. But as you pointed out, those GDP numbers, gross domestic product, the hard data is pointing to an acceleration. So we're getting a lot of mixed messages here.
The last thing anybody wants to hear, though, is that T word, transitory, Brian, although it does seem like you are most likely right. For Brian Jacobson, the chief economist at Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Injured? Call Gruber Law. One call, that's all.
People called them murderers. 10 years later, they were gods. Today,
no one knows their names. A group of maverick surgeons who took on the medical establishment, who risked everything to invent open-heart surgery. Welcome to the Wild West of American medicine. I'm Chris Pine, and this is Cardiac Cowboys. If you like medical dramas, if you like heart-pounding thrillers, you will love Cardiac Cowboys. Listen wherever you listen to podcasts.
Sponsored by Jasper.
WISN. Big taxers, big spenders, political cronies, global warming alarmists, charlatans, liars, scam artists, and feeders at the public trough. The threats to your happiness are many, but that's where we can help. News Talk 1130 WISN. Our truth shall keep you free.
The Jay Weber Show podcast is available 24/7 to fill any gaps in your hunger for entertainment. Just go to newstalk1130.com, click the podcast tab, and enjoy Jay Weber on demand.
You know, we can sort of laugh about the police officers being flummoxed as to how exactly you ticket a Waymo, but this is a real serious thing. What happens if a self-driving car, and folks, I do continue to believe that FSD, or full self-driving, is a lot closer to becoming a reality than people might think. It's not going to be, a full... It's not going to be completely ubiquitous in a decade. I still think the single best look at what the future is likely to look like. Do you remember the movie from 2001, 2002, Minority Report? It starred Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell. And the primary conceit, it was from a Philip K. Dick story, I believe. And the concept was, in the future, they use precogs or people with ESP who can see the future, and they have them hooked up to their triplets who are hooked up to this giant machine, and they can see the future. And if you are convicted, or if you are found to at some point in the future commit a crime, you can be arrested, jailed, and thrown into prison. It's sort of dystopian view of what justice will is. A very, very well done movie. Cruise is fantastic. Colin Farrell is very, very good. And the best part about it is its vision of the future. And remember, this is 2002. And there are very high-tech cities, and everybody has self-driving cars, but there are still sort of old rust buckets in the more rural areas that are on the road. I think that's what it's going to be like. There are going to be people who just are not going to adapt to self-driving automobiles. They probably are going to be very expensive to begin with. I mean, Tesla has the ability for the car to basically drive you, but you still have to be holding on to the steering wheel, and you still have to be attentive. And that's not because technology is not able to get you from point A to point B with self-driving. It's for liability, because if there's an issue with the Tesla tech, your hands are on the wheel. Presumably your feet are somewhere near the brakes. You're able to take control of the car. And therefore, if there's a crash, you can be blamed. It's not going to be Tesla. Because if a Tesla self-driving vehicle, and I'm just using Tesla for it, I'm not trying to pick on Musk or something like that. If Tesla or Waymo or whatever causes a fatal accident, you can't blame human error. This is 100% the fault of the artificial intelligence, and therefore the company, leaving the company exposed to massive, massive liability. That, I think, is the thing that is ultimately going to perhaps keep self-driving technology just over the technological horizon. It's not that we as a species can't do it. It's that we as a species have, unfortunately, invented lawyers. And I say that coming from a family of lawyers and technically being an attorney, although non-practicing myself, someone who graduated from law school, I guess would be more accurately stated. I would not go to me for legal advice. Thankfully, nobody does. But that is likely to be the issue, but it does call into question sort of exactly what the future is going to look like. I mean, we truly have a world of limitless possibility that lay before us. But at the same time, we have a world of potentially, what is it? You will one day see horrors beyond your imagination. I was actually watching this show. If you've never seen it, it's not for the faint-hearted, but it's a very, very well done show. It's a British show, but always has American actors. It's on Netflix, and I know everybody's mad at Netflix right now, but this show is fantastic. It's called Black Mirror. I've talked about it before. I know I'm late to the game. The 7th season was just released some months ago, and I saw the season premiere, which was about a woman who gets an experimental brain transplant, and it's played by Rashida Jones. If you remember, she's the daughter of Quincy Jones. She was in The Office. She was in Parks and Rec. She's been in a lot. She's a TV actress, longtime veteran TV actress, and she's given an implant in her brain, and the surgery costs nothing, but you have to pay a subscription for it. Okay. And the subscription gradually gets more expensive. And to try to get, it's an incredible satire of Netflix itself and the lower tiers of subscription models. Do you know now on Amazon Prime, I'm still ticked off at this. If you just pay for regular Amazon Prime, you get commercials. Well, in this show, and I forget what the name of each episode of Black Mirror is, like a standalone sort of mini movie. It's an episodic television series, sort of like Tales from the Crypt. I guess it's basically Tales from the Crypt with a technological bent to it. Every story is about how technology is somehow running amok. So of course it's right up my alley. So she gets the most basic tier of this implant in her brain, which allows her to live. She needs this to live. She has a smaller coverage area. If she goes outside of the coverage area where the towers are that power her brain, she just like slips into a coma. It's not fun. It's not played for laughs, but it is. I mean, it's just such perfect satire. Then to try to get her to the higher tier, the implant will randomly have her say, she's not consciously saying it, it will rather randomly have her say advertisements based on the scenario. So, for example, she's being intimate with her husband, and she does an advertisement for condoms. And the husband is, of course, like, whoa, what's going on? And then he's like, this kind of spoiled the mood. And then she sits up in bed and does an advertisement for erectile dysfunction. I mean, I was howling, and it's not played for laughs. It's done totally. But could you not see that in the very near future? I mean, we do have the ability to be able to do the most incredible things with technology. And I still think people are sleeping on AI. If you're looking at, I guess it's right here, I'm pointing to it, the new Dan O'Donnell Show logo. I did that myself. I'm not a graphic designer. I kind of put together the basic concept of it, and I had AI smooth it out. Not only that, I had AI turn it into a neon sign that's now hanging behind me. If you're watching the new studio setup on the Dano Cam, there's not actually a neon sign behind me. It's a green screen behind me. But that was done by AI in a matter of seconds. Imagine, and this is AI just in development since 2021? 2022, where we first started to see what's known as generative AI, artificial intelligence that's able to create based on text prompts. 4 years of development, you can make hyper-realistic VO3 movies. They're saying, and did you see this? What's her name? Tilly McFadden or something like that. The hot new actress in Hollywood is not a real person. AI generated character. I mean, it's just everything we know is very soon about to change. I'm not necessarily sure for the better. Brewers and Cubs we'll discuss next.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Chevrolet of Kenosha Total Traffic Center.
Crash in West Dallas, westbound on Greenfield at 894. You got a crash southbound on the Rock Freeway on the exit ramp to Highway 164. And in the northbound lanes at Layton off to the right shoulder. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Verdict with Ted Cruz Podcast.
I'm Ben Ferguson. And I'm Ted Cruz. 3 times a week we do our podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz.
We're nationwide. We have millions of listeners.
We bring you behind the scenes, inside the White House, the Senate, the Supreme Court.
So download Verdict with Ted Cruz now, wherever you get your podcasts.
When starting a new home project, the first step is the hardest to take. Hi, Colleen here with Tri-County Contracting. And with Tri-County Contracting, the first step is super easy. Go to TriCountyContractingWI.com. You can fill out a short form requesting a free estimate. Amanda will give you a call and schedule a no-pressure appointment with you. Whether it's roofing, siding, windows, or all of the above, we have you covered. If you are looking for an even faster roof price, we also have our instant roof quote button. Name, address, and email address, and you have your price on the spot. Easy first step. Then, all the steps after that, we'll take care of those for you. Getting you an easy-to-read, clear proposal quickly comes next. Then we can help you pick colors using our showroom or project map on our website. We pull the permits, we take care of materials and disposal. Our trained and specialized crews and project managers take care of all the install and cleanup. For you, it's as easy as one step, and that step is easy. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. Tri-County Contracting.
Connected to the things you love.
The free iHeartRadio app does that with live radio, 24/7 news, live sports, and your favorite podcasts.
There's no catch and no charge.
Radio, your way.
Join the millions who already have it. The free iHeartRadio app.
The #1 app for radio.
Grandma? In kitchen. Did you put these flyers in Lithuanian all over the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay, I know Cavelius is fool. What's the rest say?
Use translation app.
Oh boy. Okay, don't be a fool. Take excellent financial lesson with Grandma.
One lesson, $25.
You need money for something you need money for? Get a First American Bank home equity line of credit.
It's smart.
Don't get a credit card loan.
It's stupid.
Because First American Bank
has best loan deals in town. Okay, now read Big Finish.
If you get a credit card loan and not a First American Bank home equity line of credit, you could pay 2.5 times more in interest. Isn't this a bad word?
Very.
Grandma, everything you've said about First American Bank is correct, but charging people $25, I don't know, come on.
You are right. Should be $100. Help me fix flyers.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit firstambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Trees on the Move's field clearing sale is on now with savings up to 75%. 20 to 30-foot maples, elms, oaks, honey locust, and more. 12 to 18-foot spruce, arborvitae, and junipers are on sale too. Trees on the Move has to clear 40 acres, and this is your chance to buy big and save big. These trees are great for newer existing homes, landscape projects, or replacing trees lost to disease or storm damage. Trees on the Move's field clearing sale, Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, Saturday 9 to 4, or see treesonthemove.com.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellenbecker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at Current Electric. The NARI Milwaukee 2025 Home and Remodeling Show is October 17th through the 19th at State Fair Park. The superheroes from Current Electric will be on site to answer any electrical questions you have, from outdoor lighting to solar to the importance of a Current Electric home standby generator. Stop by booth 343 and ask about the whole home surge protection included with every home generator installation. Head to currentelectric.com to learn more.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com. Cats are masters at using up their 9 lives, like chasing laser pointers into walls or jumping onto high shelves. But the one thing cats never do, text while driving. So be like a cat and protect your one and only life. Don't text and drive.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by iHeartRadio, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Marketing a modern business means finding and serving your customers 24/7 wherever they are. WISN broadcasts are a powerful platform, but there's so much more. WISN's online digital tools are completely customizable, so you can reach your ideal customer through the iHeart app or by using software that actually finds your customers at a specific location or event. These tools are precise, efficient, measurable marketing weapons that you need to use. Combine the power and cloud of WISN's broadcast and digital platforms right now. Go to newstalk1130.com, keyword digital.
So are we happy we're playing the Cubs or ticked off? Producer Jeff, what do you think? You're happy. Why is that? Because we played the Cubs pretty well, in fact, very well this season, and the Padres probably were the better team. All right. Producer Jeff, who does host co-hosts the Brewers postgame show, the baseball postgame show with Tim Allen on our sister station, says he wants to, even though the Brewers did lose the season series to both teams, I believe they were more even with the Cubs. The Padres beat the Brewers pretty handily, played them fewer times than the Cubbies, of course, not being in the same division. Jeff says, and I quote, I want to rip Greg Kautzel's heart out right in front of him at American Family Field by eliminating his Cubs. Yeah, well, what if things don't go that way? What if things don't go the Brewers' way? That said, I think the Brewers are the better team. The only thing that concerns me, as it has concerned me with pretty much every team that gets that first round bye, you obviously want it because there are fewer chances for you to lose. But the teams that are playing hot, that have played win-or-go-home baseball for a week, typically go into those series a little bit hotter. The Brewers might show some signs of rust having been off for that many days. Or, you know what? Who knows? 1 o'clock tomorrow, they may put 7 on the board in the first inning. That's what I'm rooting for. Go Brewers. Everyone, please have a wonderful weekend. Get out there and enjoy the weather. We're back Monday afternoon on the Dan O'Donnell Show.